virtual tailgate featuring fans of the six-time Super Bowl champion New England Patriots.
Brady under center, gives to Michelle, runs it left, a dive to the end zone. Touchdown Patriots! Michelle for 6.
That's the offense I know. That's the offense we love.
Hardy, Paul Perillo, and Mike Dussault are here to do the grilling as your hosts. This week, the Patriots are home against the Buffalo Bills.
James White cuts it up with the right arm, cuts it upfield, driving forward, diving to the goal line. A touchdown and a title for the Patriots.
I can't believe it.
Hardy, Paul Perillo, and Mike Dussault are here to get you ready for the game.
It's football time, fellas. Let's get into it.
Now, live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots pregame show presented by Dunkin'.
Well, everything about this show, about this day, about this this whole situation we're in, I don't care for it. I don't like it. So I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to be, what does Russell Wilson say he is, Mr. Unlimited?
Yeah.
I'm going to be Mr. Unlimited Positivity today.
I like that.
And I have no other choice because I am feeling very, very bad that Paul Perillo is only with us in spirit. Oh, no, he's actually with us here.
Oh, I can see him.
There he is.
There
Paulie
he is.
Paul.
I've been better.
Well, let me tell you, I miss seeing you here in person, but I will take what I can get, at least here during the pregame. So, Paul, feeling a little tiny bit under the weather. Is that an accurate assessment there, Paul?
Yeah, I just thought we'd play it safe. No need to try to get into the building. And I'm assuming they wouldn't let me in anyway. But, showing some symptoms, so we'll stay home.
All right. Well, you're doing the right thing, but we miss having you here. Deuce and I are all set and ready to talk about this game tonight, which, again, everything about this situation doesn't make me feel good.
Big game. Big. Huge.
Paul, Mr. Unlimited Positivity, all right?
Yeah, that's what I thought we were doing. Positivity.
It's a big game. We're trying not to be sarcastic about it.
Yeah.
I did have one thing I wanted to bring up before we got going on the actual game here tonight. Well, actually, 2 or 3 things before we get to the keys to the game. Number one, following up on our Goodfellas conversation from last week, do you find it odd that Henry was not involved specifically in the Lufthansa heist? He's in the shower afterward hearing about it on the radio. I'm like, wait a second. They didn't bring Henry along on the heist?
Yeah. I did always find that odd. It was like he found out about it on the radio.
Found it like he didn't even know when it was going down.
Purposefully.
You think so?
Maybe.
Maybe.
You got to keep it, need to know basis maybe.
Well, Jimmy kept things, but they let Stax drive the truck, so Stax knew it was going down, and Henry didn't know. Anyway, so there's that, and then the of course the obligatory. How was your Christmas?
Oh,
but Deuce, how was your Christmas?
fine.
Okay, that's good. I'm sure the
It
kids.
was good. It was good.
The kids were thrilled with your enthusiasm, which bubbles over even to this day.
Yeah, I got a drill and one of those massage guns. So that's all I need. I got a drill and a gun, and I'm massaging myself. And exactly.
What is that what they call it now?
Yes,
I think so. That's a PC name for it. Massage gun.
That's like in Parenthood. It's an electric ear cleaner. It sure is a big one. It sure is.
It's a back scratcher.
Yeah.
So pretty much every show this year, right? We've talked about, what are we going to do at quarterback, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Our problems are solved. Dwayne Haskins.
He's available.
Oh boy.
Go get him. Did they sign him?
Wow, what an absolute train wreck.
I'm still kind of surprised they cut him. I mean,
just think about how bad it must have been behind the scenes.
It must have been, right?
Well, let's do this before. Let's put it off for a little while because we got to do keys of the game. If we don't do keys of the game,
more of a joke. I don't really think Dwayne Haskins is an option. I was just joking.
Well, it's a topic of conversation.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of emails about that.
Do me a favor, Paul. Pretend I hadn't paid attention to sports for the last week and a half, and I didn't know anything about Dwayne Haskins or the situation. Just give me the 25 words or less version.
Went to a strip club?
Well, he went to a strip club last week after the game without a mask. He was fined $40,000 for violation of the COVID-19 protocols.
I heard about the strip club part.
He had his captaincy taken away, stripped away, if you will. See what I did there? And then he ended up playing in the game on Sunday against Carolina with a chance for Washington to win and be in. and he was absolutely abysmal. I think he had 4 turnovers in the game, couple of picks, couple of fumbles. Got yanked in the fourth quarter for Tyler Heineke. We remember him. Of course, Hardy, you remember him when he was a member of the Patriots practice squad. I know that you remember all the practice squad guys.
Well, I love watching practice.
Right.
It's one of my favorite things. Get up there with the binoculars up there. So, I remember Heineke.
So he lost he got yanked out of the game, and this morning Ron Rivera said that next week if Alex Smith can't go, then Taylor Heineke would play, and then all of a sudden a couple hours later, the word came down that they had actually released Dwayne Haskins. So he is no longer a member of the Washington football team.
The strip club thing is just so amazing on so many levels. When I heard about it, I said, was he with a group of guys? Was this like a kind of like an off-the-record team-building exercise? No. Was it some, it doesn't sound
just like a solo stop-in, like I'm feeling kind of lonely, I just want to drink and...
Right?
It's his birthday or something?
It's my birthday.
Yeah.
I'm all alone. It's my birthday.
I'm like, how'd you think you were going to get away with that? But all right.
Hold on, let me just put my mask on real quick.
I have a lot of quarterback talk that I want to get to at some point on the
checklist
on the pregame here. I do have a checklist.
Good.
I like a checklist. But first thing on the checklist has to do with keys to the game.
Yeah, we better.
You've waited all week for it.
The whole team's in the locker room right now just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Here are Hardy, Paul, and Mike's keys to the game.
Why did you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to. Keys to the game are brought to you by Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo, Rob Hardy Poole. Without these keys, Patriots are destined to fail. That's why they listen to the keys.
Gathered around.
In the locker room, gather around the radio. Who's that little chatterbox?
It's little old Fanny.
And they are now ready to hear our keys to the game and put them to use tonight against the Buffalo Bills. So we got the 11-3 Bills here at Gillette Stadium tonight against the 6-8 Patriots. Paul, what is your key to tonight's game?
Well, you did a good job of stalling just long enough for me to rifle back through my old emails to find out what my key to the game was.
You're going to be shocked. I also forgot what my key was, but I remembered it as soon as Deuce started singing the Little Orphan Annie theme along with me. It was just enough time for me to click back and remember what my key was.
Yeah, to me, suddenly Buffalo is just really all about this offense. It's really a whole change, an identity change for the Bills. We've always known them the last couple of years as being really strong defensively, but weak on offense. Now it's the Josh Allen show. So my key to the game is to contain him in the pocket. Let's not let him make those rollouts to the right that all the announcers keep talking about every week, Mike, when we watch them in prime time. And we see just how deadly he is while rolling to the right. I think the Patriots need to do a good job of trying to contain him in the pocket, not necessarily preventing him from running, but just make him throw when he doesn't want to. Let's not let him improvise and make big plays down the field. Easier said than done. He's had a terrific season.
All right.
Yeah.
Deuce?
Yeah, I couldn't come up with anything as clever as your. What was the one you had? Was it last week? Miami State of Mind or so?
Mindset.
Miami Mindset.
I didn't have anything good as far as that, but I went with fundamentals. I'm keeping it simple this week. I just think that this is a Patriots team that has gotten away from the fundamentals, especially on defense the last couple of weeks, and I could also say a little bit on offense as well. I think it's about tackling. Notice there I put fun in capitals, put the fun in fundamentals. I don't know if it's going to be fun tonight, but I just want to see them get back to tackling, to setting the edge, to playing run defense. I think just those core things. I think that's where they've been losing these games, and it's evident right from the start. So, come out, stop the run, make them maybe punt. Just play good fundamental football. I don't know how it's going to end up. They're a great team. They should be coming in here with something to prove. And I think you're going to have to match that intensity. But I think just don't try to do too much. Just do what you do. Try to have a good, solid game. See how it falls.
I think it's adorable, actually, that Deuce thinks fun translates into a really good run defense. Let's get
I'm not hoping for that far.
Let's get a ground and pound, real line of scrimmage type of game.
Get off a block and make a tackle.
Oh, fun to watch too. I hope the run defense shows up tonight. That to me might be fun for them. That's no fun for me.
No,
I want to see him air it out tonight. But having said that, my key to the game is just take the points. Once you get down into the red zone tonight, if you want a chance of winning this game, don't be thinking about this in terms of late season heroics, trying some things out, you want to win the game. you're going to have to rely on the one reliable part of your offense all season long, and that is your kicker, Nick Folk.
Oh.
Not the running game. No, take the points. Take the points. You get down close.
Just keep taping the threes.
There's no there's no time for heroism now. It's week 16. You're out of the playoffs. You're below 500. Let's finish the season at 500. Let's finish the season at 8-8. Let's win the game tonight. In order to do that, take the points when you can get them. Oh, it's 4th and 1, and you're
take the points.
Yeah, you're on their 12-yard line. Kick it. Kick the field goal. Take the points and rely on that defense that Deuce was just talking about to keep you in the game. And maybe you squirt loose on a punt return for a touchdown. Maybe Cam does find Jacoby Myers in the end zone on a pass. Maybe you return a kickoff. Maybe it's a pick six.
Take all them points.
I don't know. You take them points like the way you took them against the Chargers, but offensively, when you're driving down the field, when you get stopped, you take the points. That's my key to the game tonight.
I like it. And I was actually going to maybe tweet at you this week. I realized it's a big week for you. They signed another kicker to the practice squad. So we got 3 kickers on the roster right now. You must feel it's like just a state of happiness, of relaxation that you know that their kicking situation is covered right now.
I was happy.
Good job, Deuce.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and mock me, you two. You mock me from parts unknown, Paul, and Deuce. You mock me to my face here in studio, but I think it's good. I think it's good to see a team actually caring about the kicker. I find it refreshing. Yeah. Good for them.
Yeah.
And I'd sign up Nick Folk again. That's what you need to do.
Everybody, sign them all.
Well, he wants to. He wants to come back.
He wants to come back.
Well,
and again, so does Cam Newton. But
we'll talk about Cam Newton certainly quite a bit here this evening. We're also going to go behind enemy lines here in just a few more minutes with someone who we have spoken with earlier this year. It's Jay Skursky from the Buffalo News. So we'll talk with Jay in a few minutes. We'll do our over-unders later on in the show. I think we have we got a 1-pack.
Just this week. Yeah, this is the only pack.
So for a 1-pack, what have we done for the 1-pack before?
Just like a Snickers bar or something? There's only one.
Yeah, you only...
King size?
What would you... Yeah, I guess a candy bar, right? It's just a Snickers.
Yeah.
It's a 1-pack. If you just buy one, you would never buy 2 Snickers. What are you doing?
No. It's king size, though. We'll make it sound important.
What are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing? All right. Paul, how was your Christmas, by the way?
It was excellent. Excellent. I mean, a little different, obviously, but it was a good time. You?
Yeah, it's great. What kind of drill did you get, Deuce?
I knew Hardy would make me laugh.
Craftsman.
I haven't even smiled all day. I knew Hardy would make me laugh.
Don't be like that. I heard you a little bit filling in on the Sports Hub last week, Paulie Paul. You sounded good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it sounded real good.
Crushing.
I was supposed to do it tomorrow, but I just bailed.
Ooh. Oh, boy.
Not good for the last week.
Let me turn my phone off right now.
Yes. That was part of the reason why I let you know, Hardy.
Yeah. Just make sure they cannot reach me. I got plans tomorrow. I'm going to sleep in until 7:30. Ooh, you watch me do it. You watch me. I'll do it.
That's spoken like a true dad. 7:30 is really like, ooh, I'm feeling good. I get to 7:30 in the
7:30,
morning.
no
I'm
wait.
Woo! 7:30 is
7:45.
7:30 is decadent.
Yeah.
I feel like the
Not even 8 o'clock yet.
Queen of Sheba sleeping until 7:30. All right. We're also going to do our DraftKings pick later on tonight, so we'll get to all of that. Jay Skursky going to be on with us here any moment. Do we have time? We got time for one call before we bring Jay on? Let's do it.
Sure. Try not to hang up on him.
I'm not going to hang up on anybody tonight. Sometimes they hang up on me. Atis in Illinois. Atis, what's going on?
Hey, I just had a question. So, you think if we were to get like a high draft pick this season, you think we should draft a quarterback, and which quarterback?
Ooh, that's a good question.
So
it's a big question.
What would that entail? Like how to get a high draft pick? What are they going to have to get? Because they're not going to.
Let's say that we drop one and maybe win one, or we lose out. Like who would you pick out of like the candidates after like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields?
Okay,
personally, I'd say Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean those are the guys. I mean, I think you're not going to probably get higher than 13 if you finish. You know,
6 and
you win
10.
the last one. So you're looking at 13 to 15. So you're not going to get those top guys. So yeah, there's guys
trade
like
up.
Lance, or you're going down. You know, for
Is it now official that Zach Wilson can't happen?
It seems like it, right? It happens fast in this league.
Well,
where
I'm just going to take my ball and go home.
Yeah, I know. That's what happens in this league, though. There's a couple guys. Everyone's talking about Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence all year, and then all of a sudden here he comes, and he's had a great year, and then what he just did a couple nights ago doesn't really help us much.
And the other thing too is, if they do land around 13 or 14, I mean that's certainly within range of being able to move up, 5 or 6 spots and maybe getting somebody that you want too. So that's always an option.
Okay, I abhor draft talk, but tell me anyway, what would it take to move up to a spot to get a quarterback that is going to be, you said 5 or 6 spots to get you to the
get to 7?
Yeah, what would you have to give up to get to 7?
I mean, those guys.
How about Gilmore?
Yeah, or
switch places in the first round and Gilmore.
That would probably do it.
Maybe,
but I mean,
I don't know.
But I mean, you really might need to be at 4 to get one of those 3.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and this is all contingent on one of the guys you really like is there at 7.
Right.
Mike makes a good point. That might not be high enough.
We had Atis, and now we have Afis. Is there any? I mean, what are the odds?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, do you think we should win out this season or lose out this season to get a better draft pick?
I think it's the same guy. I think that's the same guy.
Yeah.
He's on call waiting. He beeped over to the other line.
Yeah.
They're going to play the games.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are.
It's really irrelevant what we think they should do because they're going to play them straight.
I believe they're going to play each of these last 2 games to win them. The Jets, I don't know
it's
what
exciting now, right? We got a big game next week. We got the hot Jets coming in. They're ready. They won 2 in a row.
Paul, what are the Jets doing?
Mike, they're locked into 2.
They're locked in. Yeah.
They'll play hard now.
Yep. I know. It's amazing. Again, talk about the quarterback. Same thing. It's everyone saying, that last game, it's are the Patriots going to throw it so the Jets can't get. Now it doesn't even matter. And now the Jets are probably going to come in here and actually try to win the game. And I would think that the Patriots really don't want to lose that game.
Absolutely.
How about what they did? Like their 2 wins doing serious playoff damage to the Rams and the Browns.
Yeah,
that's amazing that a team could go winless and then post wins over a potential playoff.
And I mean, what about Pittsburgh? I know they bounced back after a tough start yesterday, but same kind of weird reverse of that, where you go 11-0, and then all of a sudden, those first few possessions, they didn't know what the hell they were doing, but they kind of figured it out.
All right, we got to go behind enemy lines. Let's do it.
You know the view from New England.
We go behind enemy lines.
But what about the view from the other side?
Well, I'm doing great, even though I miss being there with you guys.
And that's why you're our favorite pregame show guest every year.
You guys know you tell everybody that.
Time now to go behind enemy lines.
My God, it's coming right for us!
This doesn't sound like enemy music at all. I don't know. This sounds like happy. Almost sounds like Jay Skursky is a friend of ours who we've talked to before, which happens to be the case. Jay from the Buffalo News. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, not too much. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being on the show once again. How about those Buffalo Bills? My goodness. I would say second only maybe to the Chiefs right now. This is the team you don't want to play. Bring on the Steelers before you bring on the Bills. That's quite a football team you got there, Jay.
Yeah, they are playing really, really well right now. I think maybe you could make a very compelling argument that they're the hottest team in the NFL right now. They're one fluky kind of Hail Mary play away from, I believe, an 8-game winning streak. But yeah, they're absolutely at the top of their game right now. The offense has been pretty good pretty much all season, and the defense has sort of hit its stride here over the last maybe month or 5 games or so. So yeah, they're a very tough team to deal with right now.
Jay, we all know the history of the Patriots and the Bills in recent last 20 years, you could say. Now, what does this game mean for the Bills right now? I mean, I know where they're at. I mean, they're in the playoffs. They've won the division. They still could have some jockeying for seeding. But how do you think that they're approaching this game? I mean, is this a game where they feel like they can make a statement, and do they want to put the hammer down on the Patriots?
Yeah, I think certainly. I mean, they're not going to admit it as much. They're going to give you the old, it's the next game on the schedule, so it's the most important line. That's just Sean McDermott's approach pretty much every week. But I think more so maybe for their fans who have watched the the one-sided nature of this rivalry, if you even want to call it that, over the last 20 years. I mean, I know that they're looking forward to this opportunity. Maybe even more so than the team. But for the team, they are still playing for what they hope to be the number 2 seed in the AFC. If they win tonight, they'll be back in that position. That would give them home field advantage in the first couple of rounds of the playoffs, and that's, I think, significant for this team. And I think it's enough that's going to keep them playing and playing their starters, that so on and so forth when it comes to that. In terms of sending a statement or, the changing of the guard of the AFC, something like that, I think that it's more the fans, quite frankly, that are looking at it that way than it is the players and the coaches.
Yeah, you mentioned the defense sort of making some strides of late. What has been the key to the resurgence? Because we know that Buffalo lately has really been known more for their defense, but this year that hasn't been the case. What's been the key to the resurgence?
Yeah, I mean, this defense really has thrived on taking the ball away recently. I think they're 4th in the NFL right now in takeaways, and that's been huge because when you're giving this offense that has really been explosive most of the season more opportunities, and particularly with shorter fields at times, good things are gonna happen. But it was interesting to hear some of the defensive players talk about, there was some pretty significant change defensively, at least up front along the defensive line. And, with the unusual offseason that we had and, the lack of training camp, the lack of preseason games, I think it just took them a little bit longer than a lot of us expected it would to sort of gel and come together. And we've seen that here over the second half of the season. It's been a lot better. And I think it boils down to that. But really for this defense, the key, I think they're 16th in both yards and points allowed right now. So they're firmly middle of the pack as a defense in terms of those numbers. But when you're 4th in the league in takeaways, that's how you can hide some defensive deficiencies by taking the ball away. And we've really seen that happen here over, as I said, maybe the last 5 or 6 games or so.
It's got to be a nice feeling to not only start to look at who you would want to face in the first round, which I'm curious as to what your thoughts are for the Bills, Jay, in terms of who you would want them to face, but also to have the feeling that this is a team that is not at all fluky. They've put together some solid wins and done it in a way that leads you to believe that this is the start of something, not just a really good year that they're having, and then next year it'll be back to the same old, same old.
No, I mean, I don't think there's anything fluky at all to this. As I said, I think, you can make the case that they're the hottest team in football right now, and I don't know that you get too much of a pushback. They have, as I mentioned before, if DeAndre Hopkins doesn't come down with that miracle, Hail Murray catch, they haven't lost a game in 2 months. So this is a darn good football team, a team that I think right now, is right there with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think rightfully to be looked at as favorites in the AFC. In terms of the playoff matchups, there would be some real appeal to the Miami Dolphins coming to Buffalo. Both given the historic nature of those two teams, their rivalry, which dates back a long, long time. But then there's also the Ryan Fitzpatrick angle. He's a really beloved figure from his time in Buffalo, and just the personality that he's got. And it would be very interesting to see if the Dolphins go back to Tua. Would they start Tua in a playoff game, or would they go to Fitz? And Ryan Fitzpatrick starting a playoff game against the Bills in Buffalo would be one heck of a storyline. So as a writer, I'm kind of selfish in pulling for that angle.
Jay, just wanted to ask you about Zach Moss and kind of his development. I mean, the first match around, Bills put up 190 yards. I think it's still their best rushing performance of the season. The Patriots have gotten run all over the last couple of weeks. What have you seen from Moss kind of develop, and how does he complement Singletary?
Yeah, Moss is kind of he's their short yardage guy. He's going to be the guy that they turn to, particularly over the last few weeks. We've seen them in the fourth quarter. They've had some leads where they've been trying to run out the clock, and that's where they've given Zach Moss a lot more of his work. So he's kind of that grinder that you use to kind of wear down defenses. I still think you're going to see Devin Singletary early in games on early downs, but more and more, and really it's been, I would say, since week 7 or week 8. There was one game in there where Moss had a fumble against San Francisco, I believe it was, on Monday Night Football down near the Bills' goal line. And Sean McDermott sent a message. He benched him after that. He played very, very little after that. But outside of that, he has really had a slight edge over Devin Singletary in terms of number of carries. So it's definitely a guy, as a rookie, he's a player that's come in that I think has largely earned, the trust of the coaching staff outside of that one game. And I think it was a lesson learned from him in that game. So I still think you're looking at close to a 50-50 split, but in those, particular situations, if it's late in games where the Bills are holding a lead, you're going to see more of Zach Moss than Devin Singletary.
Jay, I'm just wondering what you thought of the Stefon Diggs trade the day they made it. Obviously, it's been the impact has been enormous, but just wondering if you felt like it was too much to give up, and now you've looked back at it and say, "Oh, he's really transformed the offense."
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I do think there was a little bit of that reaction in Buffalo, particularly when you looked at the wide receiver class in this draft and how deep it was thought to be. You could maybe make the case, why not go for one of those guys? But Brandon Beane's answer to that was he believed where the Bills were picking in the draft that who he perceived to be as the top 3 wide receivers in the class, which I understood to mean could come in and start for this team. He didn't think they were going to be there. And with that being the case, he wanted to get a proven commodity. I think it tells you a lot about where he thought this franchise is, right? And instead of rolling the dice on a first-round pick, we're going to go out, get a sure thing, a guy who can come in and help Josh Allen. And, 14 games now through, it's impossible to argue with the reasoning for that. I mean, Stefon Diggs has been, very, very close to the best wide receiver in football this season. His impact, not just on Josh Allen, but on the offense as a whole, is in some ways immeasurable. I mean, he has been everything this team could have hoped for and then some. And, a lot of the question marks maybe about the off the field stuff that were happening in Minnesota, none of that has followed to Buffalo. I mean, he's been a model teammate. The guys love him. Josh Allen loves him. And he's on his way. I think he needs 35 receiving yards tonight or in Week 17 to set the franchise single-season record in terms of receiving yardage. He already holds the single-season record in terms of number of catches. So he's had a terrific season. I think it's been maybe the most impactful player acquisition in all of the NFL. When you look at this past offseason, it's just a dynamic change in the Bills' offense that he's been a big part of.
All right, Jay Skursky there, Buffalo News. You have a score prediction for tonight's game?
I think this is going to be a big Bills win. I think this is an opportunity that this team, and as I mentioned before, the franchise has been looking forward to, the fan base has been looking forward to. My prediction is Bills 38, Patriots 17 in this one.
Oh, Jesus.
Got 17 points, though.
You're still a guest on this show, Jay. I mean,
I know, guys. I know. I just heard a lot of radios clicking off or channels changing.
Our predictions aren't that far off either.
Yeah, we're not that far apart.
Going to be similar.
Yeah. Hey, Jay, good to talk to you again. Congrats on the season the Bills are having and continued success going forward. And we'll talk to you next season, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me again.
There you go.
Thanks, Jay.
All right.
Happy New Year, Jay.
Jay Skursky there from the Buffalo News joining us behind enemy lines. 38-17?
17 points. Is
that what you said?
Yeah, I love Deuce. 17? Bill's going to turn it over a couple times.
All right.
It's been tough sledding the last couple of weeks.
Well, not tonight, boys.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. I think we got a ball game here. I think we got a ball game here.
I think the Bills are going to, have a ball game. And that, like we talked about, I think that they're coming in here looking to make a statement. I think that, even if it's not a game that the division's not on the line anymore, they do have something to play for. But I expect them to bring the energy. And that's why I want to see what the Patriots bring. Where are they at? Their season is not going to the playoffs. They found out last week against Miami. They know they got a good team in here that wants to kick their ass. I mean, it's kind of a strange position for them, and I'm curious how they match that, because if they don't match it, especially early, like they have in the last couple of weeks, right. I can see Jay score easily.
Yeah, if it gets out of hand early, Paul, this to me is like the worst case scenario for the Patriots.
Oh yeah, you can't. This team has shown time and time again it can't fall behind, and that's what Mike was just alluding to. And if they have to chase multiple scores, they're just not very equipped to do that, and it will be difficult, especially with Buffalo, because I think Buffalo, more often than not, is going to continue to score. You have the Colts game yesterday as an example. Mike brought that up with the Pittsburgh-Indy game, and Indy looked like they could do whatever they wanted, and all of a sudden they just stopped scoring. They stopped moving the ball, and they couldn't put any more points on the board. And I think that was a big difference in that comeback. And I don't think Buffalo has done that very often this year. When they've gotten a lead, they've continued to build on it.
All right, let's go back to the phones here. We'll go to Joe in New Jersey. You're welcome to join us here on the Patriots pregame social. It's fueled by Duncan. Hey, there's Hardy. There he is. First one of the night.
It's not your fault.
It's kind of my fault.
It's not your fault, Sean.
It's a little bit my fault. All right, we'll go to the emails instead. They won't hang up on me. Adil says, how do you think Bill has handled Cam internally? We know Bill will call out bad plays and moments during film sessions, but based on how much he's defended Cam in public, I wonder if he's been doing that with his quarterback this year. It's not been the same as past years. I picked up on some of the all right, so
it's a great question.
No, I mean, I've caught some of the him dialing stuff back in press conferences. Like, I mean, I don't know what the, analysis is. I mean, I'm sure, I don't think Bill Belichick's going to sugarcoat it. I mean, we're all watching Cam Newton play. We can see when there's, just terrible plays being made, and I don't think that Cam's, ability to say, hey, it's my fault really buys him much goodwill in terms of breaking down the film. So, I mean, I'm sure he's been hard on him. And you see Cam many times in his press conferences saying, losing is not accepted here in the state of New England. He ran right through it. He's got all kinds of sayings. So definitely an impression has been made about what the expectations are here. And so from that, I gather that he knows. He knows. Bill's telling him what's up. I don't think it's being sugar-coated.
Yeah, but if it's being expressed to him like that in the macro, I don't know if it has the same effect. To me, in the micro, it is, Cam, why are you still holding on to the football? Stop the tape. Why are you still holding on to the ball at this moment? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, they'd never get off like 3 plays then, Hardy.
There's only so much time for film study. Maybe that's been an issue too. And Paul, I hadn't written this down, but
it's not on the checklist.
It's not on the
Addendum.
checklist. But I was speaking with Scott Zolak over the phone on the way in tonight.
Former Patriots quarterback.
Former Patriots quarterback and your color analyst for the radio broadcast, the Patriots. And I said, Scott, we all remember in 2009, kind of Bill Belichick famously saying, I just can't get these guys to play for me.
Yep.
Right?
Famous.
That was his assessment, and that was his kind of his throwing his hands up moment in the season. And I don't think we found out about it until afterward, if memory serves.
Right.
What do you think Bill Belichick is going to say or has said already about this season?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I think because as much as we want to talk about Cam Newton, and that gains so much of what we talk about, and there's no question the quarterback play has been subpar, and I'm of the belief that has been the anchor on the offense. Not to say that the pieces around him are great, but I think it's hard to ask too much of those guys when Cam's doing what Cam's doing. But I think you look at the defense and their inconsistencies, and like we talked about last week, when you're coming into a must-win game and you just get run over, and how many times have we been saying that, by the way? We said it last year against Tennessee in the playoffs too. I just think that speaks to the team that shows up, and what we're used to seeing on good Patriots teams are Patriot teams that, yeah, they might look a little sloppy in September. There might be something. They might even lose a game to a team that's not really that good, but usually they turn it around. They start playing well. You can look at the record for Bill Belichick, after Thanksgiving, after Boxing Day, whatever you want to do, they're good in December, and the last couple of years they've been fading down the stretch. And I don't know how many threads you want to tie between this team and that team, but I think it's a bigger issue than just saying, well, this is Cam Newton. That it was his problem this year. That was what the big problem that dragged us down was.
What do you think, Paul? Back in 2009, I just can't get these guys to play for me. This year, what has Bill said, or what will he say?
I agree with Mike that that's probably what Bill thinks. Like, we can do this. They're just not, we just can't execute. I believe that that's probably what Bill thinks. I think he's wrong. I don't think he has the horses. And that's, to me, the difference between 2009 and this year is talent. They had some attitude problems on the 2009 team. I haven't seen any of that on this team. So I agree with Mike 100%. I think Bill always thinks he can win. Like, I have a game plan, and if we execute it, we will win. And then when it doesn't get executed, it's like, I just can't get these guys to play the way I need them to play. Right? And he puts it on himself. But, like, to me, I think that's not really accurate in this particular case. I think that he's had some great game plans. He's had some others that were a little bit more head scratchers. But the commonality is that they're not good enough.
Well, and you turn that phrase just a tiny little bit. You just turn that screw a little bit to say, I just can't get these guys to play the way I need them to play. It's not a question of like, oh, we're totally missing. No, if you go up and down the roster and you tweak a few things. I mean, this has not been like an abject failure of a season up until this point. The team is 6-8, but
right.
You're real close in a couple other games.
Yeah.
You could have very easily turned this into what will hopefully be a 7-9 or an 8-8 season into a 10-8 season, which is pretty good considering what you were dealt with. So I think you're right, Paul, in that Bill feels he can always win. As long as A, he can get the guys to play for him, and B, they're capable of doing what he thinks they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
And maybe he just misassessed a tiny little bit what these guys were capable of doing for him.
Yeah, I think it's a great point by Paul, and I totally agree just on the point of that 09 team, it did have talent. Randy Moss, Tom Brady, and you can't say the same about this team. And I will say, it's been a crazy year too. It's not I do think that is part of it. Not to make blames. I still think that this team is probably overachieved. Compared to what their roster is. I think before the season we said 6 to 9 wins. I think when Cam came, you thought 8-9 wins was more likely, but. Like Paul said, some of the game plans are great. Baltimore, you come out, you played the way you needed to play. Other ones where you just didn't come out. So it's all been part of it. It's been a tough year to pin down, and here we are with 2 games to go.
All right, Joe in New Jersey is back on the line. Joe, thank you for calling back in. Welcome into the pregame social. Yeah, ha. Did
you do that on purpose, Joe?
Yes, he did.
No.
Just to make me look ridiculous. And a man in my position can't afford to be made to look ridiculous. Now you get the hell out of here. No, Joe, don't leave.
Sorry, do you have a question?
Don't leave. So I had a couple questions. Cam had a down year, of course. But do you think it's all still in the play calling of McDaniels? Do you think that his plays are so predictable at like the 1 yard line, at first down?
Sometimes. Sometimes, but I don't. I think he's done as much as he really can. I haven't really found myself thinking, wow, I wish they had called a different play, more than, wow, I just wish Cam got the snap and got rid of the ball to the guy that was open. I think those were the things that when I go back and watch the game, that's what's like popping out to me. So I don't know. I tend to shy away from saying, I wish they had called different plays. Now, some of those end zone, plays down near the goal line, I think that we were talking a couple weeks ago where we were calling out the plays before they did. It was obvious, but I think sometimes, though, that's part of just who their offense is. It's limited, and they don't have a lot to do. I think generally it's hard for everybody trying to get a feel for what's working, what's going to work at the right moment. I don't think they have a great feel for each other. So I do think it's a small part of it, but generally I still think that he's done McDaniels has put him in enough positions that they should have been better.
Joe, thanks for the call. Yep, Paul, I think so too. It's not really about McDaniels this season. Aside from, I haven't loved the play calling in every game, but especially when you talk about the close games and a couple of them where they had a chance, it wasn't about the play calling. It's about Cam maybe not doing the right thing, or a drop pass, or Brian Hoyer getting sacked on 4th down. It's stuff. It's some of that stuff more than it is McDaniels. Yep. At least I think.
Yeah, and that's a good point when you talk about some of the individual breakdowns, and that to me, I think there's plenty of individual plays that you can nitpick. And I think of like the little option to Rex Burkhead on a 3rd and 3, and he got blown out. I think it was the play that he tore his ACL on, actually. When you're so limited offensively, I think that you have to come up with new and sort of inventive ways to run the ball. They have 5 touchdown passes all year. I should say Cam Newton has 5 touchdown passes all year. So your options in the passing game in the red zone are pretty limited when he can only throw 5 touchdowns.
I agree. I was going over some of the numbers. prior to today's game and looking at the quarterbacks from around the league, and I said, hold on a second. Let me go back and look. And I saw, can't you think about it? Oh, yeah, you can remember them. If you can remember all the touchdown passes from a season, that means we haven't had enough of them.
We did that on the radio.
Yeah, we played touchdown pass bingo last week.
I missed that.
Ding, ding, ding.
Sorry, I missed that. All right, DraftKings time. You know, DraftKings is really the only way to play fantasy as far as I'm concerned. That's why they're the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. Tonight, Patriots-Bills. You can play for free for a share of over $250,000 in total prizes with your first deposit. You download the app, play for free on DraftKings, the leader in daily fantasy sports. Paul, who did you select with your DraftKings pick this week?
I jumped on the most consistent receiver that the team has had all year, and that's Jacoby Myers. I think we've sort of just been shifting around and rotating through the 3 or 4 options that they have. It was my turn for Myers today. He had a huge game last week in Miami, made a couple of big catches, good run after catch. You guys are going to have to help me out in terms of the price. But I don't care because
$7,200.
Yeah, see, as you know, I'm a gambling man by nature, so I don't really care. So I'm laying it all on Jacoby Myers. I just feel like if there's one guy that's going to be involved in the passing game, it will be him, and maybe he can rack up some fantasy numbers for you.
Well, I tell you what, if there's going to be one guy who's involved in putting points on the board, it's going to be my pick, Nick Folk.
Nick Folk.
He's a guy, $3,600. Is there any debate as to whether or not he's been your most your most consistent and reliable offensive weapon this season?
I can't believe
Anyone?
it, but yes. You're right. You're 100% right.
It's Nick Folk. I decided not to overthink it this week, and it goes in lockstep with my key to the game. Take the points.
Yeah.
Oh, you get down inside.
That's
It's fourth down. We should go for it. Shut up. Take the 3. Let Nick Folk go out there.
Shutting up.
Yeah, shut up. That's Muggsy. That's Muggsy. You see, Deuce isn't old enough to remember that cartoon.
Maybe not.
But yeah, to me that goes in lockstep with my take the points.
I love
key.
it. It's
Nick
symmetry.
Folk.
Works together. I love it.
$3,600.
I went with Sony again this week. He had a pretty good week last week. They just got away from him. He was productive. I mean, we put him on the up list. He was one of the few that actually got on the positives. I think Damian Harris. We'll see if he's going to go tonight. We haven't gotten any early report yet if he's out, but I thought Sony ran well, and they had some success last time against the Bills. I think if there's a weakness to this Bills defense that they can get going with the run, they have been better, I think, as we've discussed and as our guest mentioned. But I'm going to go with Sony. I think he's going to get a number of carries. I just hope they stay with him. If it's working, keep going. You don't have to prove anything with the passing game. Like, let's just try to move the ball and get points. And like you said, take the points. So hopefully Sony's part of that. I'd love to see him get, some red zone carries, punch it in down near the goal line, get a touchdown for the first time in a few games. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right. Once again, thank you to DraftKings. We'll be watching those 3 players and a whole lot more. We'll take a look at them during warm-ups. If we don't like how they look in warm-ups later on, Matt, do we have the ability to change our DraftKings selection?
Ooh.
He says no. All right. We have to stay with who we pick. All right. That's fine. I got no problem sticking with Nick Folk. Before Paul has to leave us here, let's check in with Victor in Indiana, who would be disappointed if he didn't have a chance to talk with Paul Perillo. Go ahead, Victor.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for calling.
Just had a quick question here. As the Pats look to rebuild, cap management has always been something that they properly manage. But looking to the future, are they looking to spend defense, offense, quarterback, wide receiver, linebacker? What are we thinking?
I mean, they check all of them. I mean, I think they need all of them. And I mean, you look at their free agents. There's a lot of holes up front defensively. But I think generally speaking, I think you got to invest in the offense. I think that's where I would go. I mean, this offense is far, subpar compared to what the defense has been. Not that that's saying much right now. But I just think they can figure out a lot of the defensive part. I think they can find cornerbacks. I do think there are some necessary positions. But, I like some of the guys that they've got. I think Winovich deserves a chance to develop. Jennings, Uche, maybe you get Dante Hightower back. Bentley is now not forced to play every single down. I do think they need guys. But for me, I think you got to look at receiver, tight end, and obviously quarterback. I think those are the 3 big pieces. You need something to make other teams think a little bit.
All right, Victor, appreciate the call. Thank you. We will take more of your calls, 855-PATS-500. More of your emails coming up, too, webradio@patriots.com. Paul has to step out or...
Oh, I'm with you guys. I'm with you now, Pop.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay with you guys today.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just don't talk for 5 minutes.
I thought something was going to... Did you tell me? Am I making this up in my head? I don't know what's going on anymore. We're still going to take a break, though, right, Matt? All right, we're taking a quick break, and then we'll return. More Patriots pregame social fueled by Dunkin'. I don't know about you. I remembered it was game day. That's why I ordered ahead on my Dunkin' app. Picked up my $1 medium iced coffee. $1 medium. Oh, you can get hot coffee, too. How about that? Just order ahead on your Dunkin' app. America runs on Dunkin'. Exclusions apply. Participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Order ahead on the Dunkin' app to get running on game day. Whether you're a Patriots fan or a Dunkin' fan.
Yes.
DD Perks members get a $1 medium hot or iced coffee when you order from the app on Patriots game day.
Why is this? Why is this it? Okay. Yeah, it should fit. It should fit.
The take it back for something smaller with the CarMax 7-day money-back guarantee way. Whatever your way, that's the way car buying should be.
My Caleb sofa and love seat. With Bob's discount, you get both pieces for just $7.99.
$7.99? Are you joking?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Yes. You look like you're joking.
I'm serious.
Cool.
Get Bob's discount.
Ready or not. Gillette Pro Glide and Pro Glide Gel. 5 blades and a pivoting flex ball designed to get virtually every hair on the first stroke while washing away dirt and oil. So you're ready for the day with a clean shave and a clean face.
This is the place to play for $1 million in week 1. DraftKings, land of the millionaire. Football is back. Time to let your competitive streak. Download the app and take your shot at $1 million. DraftKings.
How do we inspire people to lead their healthiest lives? How do we bring everyone together so that healthcare finally works for all of us? We know how. We are the how. Optum. How well gets done.
Johnny, euphonic.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
You want to see me feed a mouse to my snake? Yes!
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
All right. Back on the Patriots pregame social fueled by Dunkin'. Got the inactives there for us, Deuce.
Yeah, some significant names on this one. Damian Harris is again out. Juwan Bentley, Lawrence Guy, on the injury report, but we're playing, so that's a tough one for those two guys. Shalik Calhoun, Brian Hoyer, and then the center that they literally signed this afternoon, Marcus Martin. Apparently he's not going to dress either, but big with Harris, Bentley, Guy. Talk about stopping the run. Those are your two best guys against the run, so that is not good for the Patriots defense against the Buffalo deep. But hey, maybe Buffalo will be just tempted to run the whole time. They won't throw it down the field to Diggs.
Not good for your key to the game there. Is it, Kitty Cat?
Well, for
Not
Sony.
good, Bob.
Well, not for my key, but for my DraftKings though. Sony. All right, there we go. Not a total loss.
Okay.
Got my bases covered here a little bit.
Hey, whatever. It's all about positivity today.
It is. Just all positivity, unfortunately. And then we also have the Bills. Nobody really know Trent Murphy's, but yeah, they seem like they're ready to go, and the Patriots are missing two of their best front seven guys.
38-17 doesn't seem all that out of the question, but I'm not going that bad. I'll tell you that much right now. Instead, I'm going to remain positive, talk to Clayton in Minnesota. Clayton, on the Patriots pregame social. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys? First time, long time.
Hey,
Excellent.
Clayton.
Thank you.
I got a question about Cam. I see a lot of Patriots fans still in his corner making a lot of excuses for him this year. I guess my question is, what are the chances you see him coming back? And if not, I don't think he'll be back. Where do you see his market outside of New England? Do you see him becoming a backup on another cheap veteran deal, or what do you think his market is? I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't really see much of a market, and I prefer to move on. I haven't ruled that out completely though. There's something in the back of my mind that is. Can you get rid of that? Thanks, Artie.
Hey, Deuce, whenever you want to steer the ship, buddy. Come on over.
I have no idea what I'm doing there. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a chance. I always think there's a chance that they might say, hey, comparatively, he might not. We've gotten a chance to work with him. We want to continue working with him. I think he wants that, but I don't see much of a market for him. I don't see him going to be a backup either. I think he's either a starter or he's going out of the league. So I'm going to say there's still a 5 to 10% chance he's back here, but 90% chance he's probably gone and probably not really playing football.
Okay. So, Paul, I had some real pushback on this from the other guys I work with.
Oh.
They were, I imagine that one of them was being argumentative with regard to Cam Newton and what he would do next year. And he said, backup. I'm like, he's made
I don't think there's any chance of that.
I don't think there's any chance of that either. I think, for him, it is going to be a decision he has to make sooner than later as to whether or not he feels he is equipped to play quarterback in the NFL in 2021. You put it that way, it's like you're talking about a new decade, a whole new generation of players have come and gone really twice when you think about it. When you look at the average career in the NFL, you're talking about 2 generations of players have come and gone since you started.
Yep.
And now you think that maybe it would be a time to hang it up. Well, let's look at how you played this year. Let's look at how things are going for you. To me, what's he going to make as a backup somewhere, Paul? What would be best case scenario?
What's he going to make?
Yeah. Like what would a team pay Cam Newton to go be a, and I'm not like we're not talking about a crazy, Colts Jacoby Brissett, backup type of contract.
Yeah, no, I would say less than 10, but maybe even like one of those $3 million incentive laden deals. I think Mike is right. I think at the very least, if he's going to go somewhere, it's going to be so he knows he can compete. At least, like he could go to Washington, and I keep bringing that up for Ron Rivera, his old coach. He could go and have a chance to compete for the starting job there. And if he doesn't win it, and he becomes a backup as a result, then so be it. But I can't imagine he's going to sign to back up Tom Brady, where he's clearly the backup quarterback. I don't see that happening.
I mean, if this is his market last season, when there was still that kind of allure of, well, he was hurt last couple of years, maybe he's still that 2015 MVP form, and now it's not. I don't think you're fooling yourself into believing that after this season.
Cam Newton has made $122 million in the NFL, right? Now, you think about it, just try and put ourselves in this position, all right? And these guys pay a lot more in agents and taxes and all that stuff. So let's say at the end of the day, he's only sitting on about $20 or $30 million. Yep. Does he need to go make $3 million a year to really be and truly be humbled by the experience in the process? Or do you sit back and on your $30 million and have a really nice life for you and your family for generations to come?
Yeah, and he's got a lot going on too. That I'm sure he'll be very involved after football. That's why it's just I think that he's
got a lot he can do.
He's the persona of a starting quarterback. He's not going to be the backup quarterback handing out nicknames to people.
Right.
It's just a complete different thing, and I struggle to see it. And I hope that he's able to come to the decision himself and not kind of be like, I'm ready to come back, and nobody wants it. I think that'd be tough, but it's just one part of a big offseason.
And I don't know about you, Paul, but Cam Newton doesn't impress me as being the guy who would miss the room so much that he would have to be there to have a sense of purpose. He seems like a pretty well-rounded guy to where he might be able to find some satisfaction in life outside of a locker room.
Yeah, he is. I agree with that. But I also think that he's a competitor, and I've heard some of his comments last week and him talking about, I can't have this be the way I go out. He played so poorly. Now, obviously, there's a risk to that because you can come back and put 2 straight seasons like that together, and then the choice is no longer yours. I think there's a very good chance that he is not on a team next year. But I would say that in the right circumstance, and I keep bringing up Washington as one possibility, I could see it.
See, this is to me the thing with Cam. In a much, I guess, with a lot less on the table in terms of what you're really risking here, it's almost like a Tom Brady situation. had Tom Brady gone to Tampa and not had a good season and finished, he was sitting at 6-8 at this point and looking, kind of hapless at times. Yeah, it's going to sting it in the immediate aftermath, but a couple years out, it's not going to matter. It's not going to change his legacy. Cam Newton's legacy is going to be that of, the iconic, dynamic MVP quarterback, made it to his Super Bowl. Yeah, perhaps underachieved. None of that is going to change based on a year in New England. And when you talk about, maybe the same thing could happen again next year, it could be worse. There's a lot of situations you could go into that are a lot worse than the Patriots. You think you have roster issues? Your coach makes up for so many of these roster deficiencies, just like your quarterback did 4 years. You could very easily go play for a 3-13 team next year. And I don't know that Cam's going to make you any better to get you above 3 or 4 wins. So he goes somewhere else. It could be even worse.
Yeah, and I mean, if he plays like he's been playing, he's lucky to still be the starter here. I think that's the storyline everyone's talking about this week. Why is he still starting? And other places, I'm not sure that they would be as kind to keep him in there. They'd be ready to move on.
Right. We're going to talk more about the quarterback situation here this evening, but I want to get to these phone calls first, like Dustin in Ontario. What's up, Dustin?
Hey, guys. Thanks a lot for taking my call.
Thank you for calling, Dustin. What's up? By the way, as a Canadian, Mike Dussault has always impressed me as having Canadian-like qualities. Maybe it's the French name, but really it's more about his demeanor, his appearance. Do you get any of that from watching him, Dustin?
Sneaky. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm OG Quebec, the original Dussault. OG Quebec City, baby.
That's why I'm getting it. Yep. The hockey, the whole thing.
Yep.
All right, go ahead, Dustin. What else you got?
Okay, so just a couple really quick questions. The first one is sort of away from the whole Cam Newton thing, just sort of a refresher.
That's good.
J.C. Jackson, he's not a free agent upcoming, is he?
Restricted free agent.
Restricted free agent. Okay. So let's say the Patriots, and this is my second question coming up, by the way. So let's say the Patriots do resign him. He comes back on a team-friendly deal or whatever it is. If that's the case and he does come back, how likely do you think the Patriots are to trade away Gilmore? And if they do trade him, which team will he go to, and what will we get in return for him?
Ooh. Well,
a lot going on there. Paul, you want to take this one to start?
Yeah, I am firmly in the camp that Gilmore is going one way or the other. I don't think it really has much to do with J.C. Jackson. As Mike said, he's a restricted free agent, so they'll probably give him a tender, and he'll be back next year. But I think Gilmore's gone. That contract is not going to work for him, and the Patriots just gave him a little bit more this year. I don't think they're going to be willing to do it again. So my guess is look at some of the teams that are in the top 10 and see if maybe you can work out a deal. You send Gilmore to somebody and see if he can slide up a few spots in the first round. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, well, one thing I floated this week on the show was I don't think J.C. Jackson's long for New England. I don't think he's their kind of guy. Every time we do interviews with him, I'm holding my breath because I can just, I can see him fighting to say things that the Patriots coaching staff would not want him to stay. So, yeah, I think that they can retain him. They can put a first-round tender on him. I saw Jeff House speculate today that maybe they put a second-round tender on him and try to entice a team into trying to sign him to an offer sheet, and then the Patriots get a second-round pick. I think he's an asset, and I think he's one of your best young assets on the team. So I just am not completely ruling out, well, they're just going to sign him to a restricted free agent deal and keep him, bring him back. Because even if they do that, I think he's here 1 year. So
I agree.
I think maybe there's a chance both those guys are gone. I'm just kind of speculating here, but I just think when you look at the long-term need, is J.C. Jackson going to be here in 2022? Probably not. So maybe it makes sense to buy high right now when he's finishing second in the league in interceptions. He's a guy that you don't want to invest in long-term, and you can really get some draft ammunition this year.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to go ahead, Paul.
No, just good plan. I like the Deuce plan.
All right.
It's kind of MOB, cut everybody plan.
Yeah.
Cut our two best corners. I don't care.
MOB, man.
Sean in Cleveland. What's up, Sean?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Hey, so my question is,
I'm dying over here.
I don't know if you guys can see me rocking back and forth, but I'm freezing.
Paul. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna make a call right now if we don't mind.
I have my little blanket.
Jesus, Paul.
Why don't you hang in there until the next break, and then you're done, kid.
The things he does.
He's going to tap out
For the
after the next
Patriots.
break.
Yeah, and I'm not doing the post game, by the way.
I know you're not doing the post game. You know what? I don't want you to do the rest of this pregame. I don't want you to bail mid-segment, but next break, we're going to say goodbye to Paul Perillo before we leave. Sean, what is your question?
all right, so my question is, let's just say the Jets go ahead and get a quarterback in the draft, and Sam Darnold's free. Do you think the Patriots reach for him? And if so, is he a guy that would be in a Patriots uniform?
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
But I think it's highly unlikely.
I think it's unlikely, too, based on what's happened with the Jets here in the last couple of weeks,
Well,
too.
yeah, I mean, that too. But I just mean the Jets trading him to the Patriots, to me, is highly unlikely.
Right.
Right.
It does lead into another question I have, which, Paul, before you expire. Josh Allen.
That's not nice.
Okay, so Josh Allen, do we all agree he's the best quarterback in the division right now?
Yeah.
Far and away, right?
Yeah.
Where do you rank him in the league right now?
I mean, given his age and his balance. Sorry, Paul, were you going to hop in there?
No, go ahead. I'll wait for you to finish.
I mean, given his balance and his development, and his trajectory, I mean, I definitely in the top 10.
I put him at the top of that second tier. It's it's Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, Wilson,
Mahomes.
Mahomes, obviously, duh.
good.
And then you take those your top 5 elite guys off the board.
He's knocking right on that door right now.
How do you, okay? He doesn't have the resume that Roethlisberger
Right,
has.
but you take him over Roethlisberger. You'd probably take him over Breeze, right? I mean, it's a debate. I mean,
it's like I wouldn't. I don't know if I would say he's a top 5 quarterback, but in 2020 he's been a top 5 quarterback.
Okay, so
I think he's in the top 5 of the MVP voting.
So, my question now is, where do you think Josh Allen will be quarterback-wise in both the division and the league next year? So in the division, you have to say, what are the Patriots going to do? What are the Jets going to do? What's Tua going to be like? And is he going to continue to ascend? Do you think he's going to be knocking on that door of that, considered to be like a top 5 guy next year?
Yeah, I do think so. And I'd throw, what does Brian Dable do into that? That could have a small part of his development.
Big.
He's been a big part of it. And, but it's just he's a balanced quarterback. He's got a bazooka arm. He can run like a horse, and I think it was really always just about decision making. And, and that's the kind of thing. If you see a guy start to make improvements, then I have confidence that he'll continue to improve. So I don't really see him falling off. I mean, as Jay pointed out at the top of the show, that really struck me how let's go out and get a veteran wide receiver, somebody who can step right in, someone that we don't have to spend a few years trying to get up to speed, as Patriot fans are well familiar with. So I think if they continue to do those things, we're looking at Diggs right now on ESPN getting warmed up. As long as they continue to surround him with guys like that, it's hard though. I mean, you got a lot of whack-a-mole. Defense, guys come up, but right now what they've got between Beasley and Diggs and, drafting Moss and Singletary in the backfield, I mean, he's got a great group around him. They've got deep tight ends, so I don't really see him going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, the one thing that I would say, too, with him, because of his size and the way he runs, I think he could get banged up.
Yeah.
And, it seems like he's been dealing with knee injuries. And you look at, him, Cam, Roethlisberger, those kinds of guys, they're always dealing with something. Now, Ben was able to play through it and had obviously a tremendous career, and Cam too. Not as long as Ben, but we'll see if Josh Allen can. Because I do think that's maybe a small C concern with Josh Allen, is him getting a little bit banged up.
All right, let's take another call here. Let's go to Mark in New York. Mark, you're on the Patriots pregame social with Hardy and Paul and Deuce. What's up, Mark?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hey, guys. Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I'm definitely in Buffalo Bills territory where I am, so people have got their flags waving, and they're really stoked about tonight's game. So the question, I have a couple questions. My first question is the Pats defense. We obviously saw the defense falling apart against L.A. and then last week, and just wondering, in your, speaking with the coaching staff or the players, What do you think happened? Why are they not playing well against the run? What's the issue from your view?
Ooh, I mean, that's that's a good question. I mean, it's a number of things. I mean, I think, first of all, I think we can talk about the personnel, and that was something that, going into the offseason, we saw them get run over by Derrick Henry last year. I said, we got to bulk these guys up a little bit, and they really didn't. They signed Bo Allen to replace Danny Shelton. Bo Allen never played it down for him. They had Hightower opt out, which is just, he is a beast there in the middle and in run stopping. And, so I think all the factors kind of come together. And then I think you put on top of it, they play bad. They have games where they're just not playing fundamental football. They're not getting off blocks. They're not playing together. I think some of that is a sign of a young defense as well. But I think it's a number of factors, and anything you can pretty much name, whether it's personnel, how they're playing. Sometimes the game plan is a little bit of a head scratcher where you're daring a team to run and then they just run all over you and backfires your whole plan. So I think it's been a combination of things that ultimately, though, I just like to see them bulk up front, get a few guys so that they have some kind of rotation, because I think they're playing out of position with Adam Butler and Dietrich Wise trying to two-gap and, be interior space eaters, and that's not their game. They're good at being sub-rushers and getting upfield and defeating maybe one blocker, but, holding their ground against multiple blockers. Like Lawrence Guy can do that. We saw Carl Davis do that for a game until he went back out, so they just don't have the guys to do it, and you've got inexperience behind them, and sorry, I can go on all night about this kind of thing, but there's a lot going on, and there's a lot needed to fix it.
Let's go to Rob in Melbourne, Australia. Hello, Rob. Thanks for being on the pregame social. What's up?
Evening, boys. How are you guys?
Good
day,
mate.
Well, good. What time is it down there?
It's 11 a.m. Monday, so my wife's got me out the back of the house working right now.
11 a.m. what day?
Monday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. What day is it?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, okay.
I had a few to drink last night. I had a question for you guys in terms of, you just had a guy from Ontario calling about training Stephon Gilmore or J.C. Jackson.
Yeah.
And this one, I guess, goes to Mike and Paul and you too, Hardy. Would you do a player-player trade? Would you send Gilmore to, let's say, Detroit for Matthew Stafford? I mean, I think he's got 2 years left on his deal, or even Matt Ryan down in Atlanta, and move on from Gilmore for a quarterback that can bridge you. I mean, you can still draft a guy this year, but you're probably picking 15. I don't know. I'm just trying to think.
No,
I can't watch this garbage anymore that Cam puts out there.
Yeah,
and I just like to see a gunslinger push the ball downfield for a year or two just for an entertainment factor.
I wouldn't do it for Matt Ryan. I'd do it for Matthew Stafford, Rob.
Well, here's the thing. I think I would absolutely do that trade. I would absolutely make that trade, but why?
I just want to wish you a happy new year, and I really appreciate everything.
Okay, Rob, thanks.
Okay, thanks. Right. I just, he was rushing us off, but I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense for Detroit. Like, if you're going to move on from Stafford, you're clearly starting over. You don't start over by trading for a 30-something-year-old cornerback in the last year of his deal. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Look.
Yeah.
I don't think Detroit's going to do it either, but I'm heartened a little bit by the notion that it would be something that you could envision that would help this team immediately. And this is another argument I've had over the season. Well, with these receivers, nobody could do anything with it. I'd like to see a guy like Matthew Stafford get a shot at it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see somebody who can actually complete some passes with some zip, in target, into tight windows, and see what he can do in that situation. Because I have a feeling that, Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry, they're not, all pros anytime soon. But I think they could have significant more production with a different passer. And a guy like Matthew Stafford could be that guy. So there is, even if it's not going to be him, there is some hope that somebody would make a tangible difference, even with this core of wide receivers. And if you can get one more, if you can add a tight end into this group, okay, now you got something. Now you're back into the conversation of turning this into a 10-6 football team.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I Paul kind of explained, a team is not going to trade their veteran quarterback for a veteran cornerback because they're going in different directions. But I like the creativity of it, and I think that's what I want the Patriots to do. And he mentioned, I want the excitement, and I'm totally on board with that.
Me too, yeah.
But I also kind of felt that way about Cam Newton when he signed here, and not saying that, these guys might not work out. I'm just, good last summer, this is how I felt. When Cam Newton came in, it was like, whoa, maybe he's got something. Maybe, there was a little bit of excitement. Unfortunately, that faded. But I think the Patriots they have to be creative. I think they need to, take multiple routes on this. I think they need to throw it at the wall. We know how hard it is to find a quarterback, and I just think they can leave no stone unturned, whether it's trading up, trading players, getting whatever you got to do. Get somebody you like, that you're willing to work with, and that you're going to allow to, develop in the system.
All right, one email before we got to do the over-unders before you leave us, Paulie. And one email addressed specifically to you. This is from Russell in Arkansas. Paul, please don't yell at me. Do you guys think
I'm totally incapable of that right now?
Do you guys think if Cam came back, it could potentially be in a different role? Something along the lines of what Taysom Hill does. Again, Paul, please don't yell. Hope you guys had a great Christmas. Russell in Arkansas.
Not yelling, even, I wouldn't yell anyway, even if I was up to it. But I just don't see that kind of skill set with Cam Newton. I don't see his quickness. Yeah. I see a power short yardage runner. That's it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, and I think that was one of the kind of misconceptions we had about Cam's, or at least I had about Cam's game coming into this season is, he's an effective runner, and I think you have to be aware of him as a runner. But he doesn't have that speed that Hill has, or obviously Lamar Jackson's.
What has Cam Newton done this season that you say, you know what, he's not going to be here next year, but we're really going to miss blank?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's it's third and one, quarterback draw,
Right. It
is close.
Yeah,
his hots.
Well, we missed out on that.
His willingness to admit that it's not going that well.
That's right. All right, over under time. Let's do it.
It's time for this week's edition of Over Unders.
You're over me? When were you under me?
Paul, I hope this is the last bit of work you have to do until Sunday, when we're all, hopefully back together for the final.
Get the band together one more time?
Yeah, all right. So here we go. Over unders. First, we have to find out how we did last week and how we're doing for the season. What do you got for us, Matty Morrell?
Well, last week, Mike went 6-0, man. Great job. Woo! Great job. Bringing him to 54-30 on the season. Paul and Hardy both went 4-2 last week. Paul is now 52-32. Hardy 42-42.
Good job, Hardy.
All right, back at 500. That's good for me. I'll take it. All right.
Yeah.
Moral victories at this point. All right, over-unders. Let us begin. I will take the first one, and then it'll be Deuce, and then it'll be Paul, and we'll go in that order. Starting with what, Matt?
Cam Newton passing yards, 167.5.
I will go under.
I will go under as well.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under, too.
Oof.
Nothing to make us believe that he's going to get anywhere. Look,
it'd be great for him, but
it'd be great. I don't. No, thank you. Next.
Josh Allen completions, 24.5.
Ooh.
I mean, I like Josh Allen. I'm not crazy though. I'm gonna say under 24. I don't think he's gonna need to throw it that much. I think they're gonna run it.
I think he might sling it around a little bit tonight. I think so. I'm gonna go over.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over too.
Jacoby Myers' longest reception of the night. Will it be over or under 21.5 yards?
These are always tough. It only takes one.
I'm going to take over just because I picked him for my DraftKings guy.
I'm gonna go under. I love Jacoby. I just think Demir will get maybe the long catch tonight.
So you're going under.
I'm gonna go under.
I'm sticking with Paul. I'm sticking with Paulie. I'm going over.
All right.
Setting up a reckoning next week.
Zach Moss rushing yards, 42.5.
See, if I like Josh Allen to throw the ball that much.
Right. That's why I'm going over on the Moss.
Okay, I am going under.
Okay,
I'll
going
take the
first.
over on that too.
You guys both going
Patriots
over.
run defense.
This is going to be a bloody over/under. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of blood.
We'll have to call Paul tomorrow to tell him how he did.
Nick Folk missed kicks at a half.
How dare you?
I gotta take the under. Have to.
Yeah, I can't jinx him. I gotta take the under.
Everyone's going under on this one.
Yeah, he don't miss. He doesn't miss.
The very notion that you put it on here, Matt, is offensive. And I'm
Wanted to give
offended.
you Some love. Ending with the total, as always, 46.5.
Actually, Paul has to go first on this one.
46.5?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to take the over.
Wow.
Just slightly.
I don't see that. I'm going
I'm
under.
going to go under on that one.
We'll give our... Actually, Paul, we're going to need your score prediction right now, too. Before.
I'm going to take the Bills to pile up a lot of offense tonight, 34-16.
All right. Buffalo is lane 7, 34-16, so you're taking the Bills to cover big.
Yep.
All right. Deuce and I will hold on to our picks until the end of the program.
Suspense.
Here. Yes.
Correct.
Much more fun that way. All right. Let's talk to Spee in Fresno here. Spee, you're on the Patriots pregame social, fueled by Duncan. What's going on, Spee?
What's up, Spee?
Greetings and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It sounds like Paulie's under the weather. I'm sorry to hear that. I checked in a little bit late. We get better.
Yeah, he's joining us remotely.
Thank you, Spee.
Yeah, good. So, hey, I had a thought just popped to mind about the COVID season and the Patriots. And, you kind of trying to figure out coming into the season which teams would fare better than others. And you're thinking experience. And see, the Patriots have a lot of young guys that they lack that. And like Paul says, they lack the horses. But I was also thinking about, the Patriots are, like they say, it's a hard place to play. It's a very complex system. I wonder if all of the sort of scrambling around and virtual meetings and all that stuff made it harder specifically for this kind of system to get implemented correctly. And I don't know if maybe that's just yet another thing that contributes to the woes this season. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't want to tread in excuse area, but Cam's brought it up a lot. He's brought it up saying, he got here when he did, and the coaches brought it up as well that it's a hard system to learn, and I think it's just the bigger point is this what we're gonna do? Like trying to find a new quarterback, we're gonna keep trying to jam somebody into the. Is there anything we can do to make it easier on some of these guys? And then this was a unique situation with the COVID this year, and hopefully next year will be a little bit easier. But I just wonder, we can't let this like overly complex system. And I don't know, maybe it's not that bad, but I don't want to think that we're going to undercut the chance at a new quarterback or a new young guy because it's like, all right, here's your trigonometry, and you got to try to figure it out. I know it's hard, and just from the receiver perspective, I asked Jacoby Myers this week about, just mentally before the snap, what's it like for you? Because that's the thing about this offense, I think that comes up a lot. It's reading the defense and adjusting on the fly, and and Jacoby, I was kind of a little bit surprised just admitting that he was like, I wasn't ever 100% sure I was doing the right thing. I was just kind of praying to God that it would work out, and now he says I feel a lot more comfortable. So there is something to be said for that. I just don't want this to be. I want to make it as easy as possible to find the next guy. And if it means kind of like, I know that we have an offense that kind of thinks after the snap, quote unquote, what can we do to make it easier? Maybe this experience with Newton this year will help them a little bit in that process.
Give him a nudge in that
direction.
direction.
I like Myers.
Yeah.
I like Myers as an example of somebody who, regardless of how hard the system is in the COVID year, he like last year he was running in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And this year he's your number one for better or worse. And so maybe the complex system thing is kind of a bit of an excuse.
Yeah, it could be. We could be overblowing that because we're Patriot fans and we think that we have this impossible system that only we can manage, and we're gonna that's that part of it. But in regards to Myers though, I think he's been awesome this year. I think he is a legitimate NFL receiver now. I think he's just showing an ability to set guys up. He's getting open. he's confident, and that's why I don't take to the argument of no weapons. Start with Cam. Don't come at me. Well, but yeah, he doesn't have that kind of we go round and round and around. Was it the weapons of the quarterback? I think it's the quarterback. I think these guys have some skills to offer, but there's no question they need more.
All right, Speed.
Can Myers grow into a number 2, or is he just a 3 through and through?
Yeah,
maybe 4, 3.
It's like my question with that was like, well, what do you mean by 2 or 3? Like, because I think,
there
it
he
depends
is now.
on, and we're looking at him right now. I just think he's a smart receiver who knows how to get open. So, is he ever going to be an outside, game breaker? Probably not. But we've seen it with Julian Edelman. We've seen it with Wes Welker. We've seen it with Deion Branch. These guys who just know how to get open. They understand what's going on. And I think that's maybe when we get back to the system, they understand how to use the system to their advantage. And I think we talk about separation as being this physical thing. And, Josh McDaniels ran down separation this year for us. It's a lot. It's not just, we don't have guys who are quick. They can't get open. There's so much that goes into guys getting open and gaining quote-unquote separation. So I think that's all part of it. And I think you're seeing the results with Myers right now of his development, which I think it continues to jump out every week.
All right. Hey, Paul Perillo, we want you to feel better, buddy.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, right. Hang in there, buddy.
Hang in there. We'll
enjoy the game.
We'll talk to you. You enjoy it, too. He's not watching that game. He's going to bed right now.
This could be a first.
I hope so.
There's a chance this could be a first.
Yeah, well,
This could be the first game since I started in '99 that I did not see every play.
Well, you'll see every play tomorrow on the DVR.
Right.
That's what that's there for. All right, buddy, feel better.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, we're going to step aside, too, here and come back and go over our DraftKings picks again for this game here tonight. Don't forget, Dunkin', that's the place to go. They got your back. Mobile ordering, they make it easy. They get you in, out, and on the go. You'll be feeling good to go. Order through the Dunkin' app, pick up in-store, or from the drive-thru for a contactless experience. America runs on Dunkin'.
Order ahead on the Dunkin' app to get running on game day. Whether you're a Patriots fan or a Dunkin' fan.
Yes.
DD Perks members get a $1 medium hot or iced coffee when you order from the app on Patriots game day.
Ready or not.
Gillette Pro Glide and Pro Glide Gel. 5 blades and a pivoting flex ball designed to get virtually every hair on the first stroke while washing away dirt and oil. So you're ready for the day with a clean shave and a clean face.
In New England, we are resilient. It takes hard work to earn respect. Sometimes it takes decades. And it always takes someone being on your side.
This is the place to play for $1 million in week 1. DraftKings, land of the millionaire. Football is back. Time to let your competitive streak streak. Download the app and take your shot at $1 million. DraftKings.
For over 60 years, this team has transformed itself into a championship organization. For over 160 years, our team has demonstrated a similar mentality. There are no days off. Our front lines are fortified by people who sacrifice individuality for the team. Our shelves are also stocked with the best quality products and ingredients. Our team members know their roles. We're proud to do our jobs. Shaw's, the official supermarket of the 6-time champion New England Patriots.
Johnny, euphonic.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
We're going to hold off on taking any of your phone calls until you call.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Woo! Good break.
We traded up.
Yeah, we did. So...
Oh, wow, you're talking about me.
Yeah, Paul...
Sorry, I didn't mean to compliment.
Paul actually feels okay. We made a big thing about it, saying like I look so bad because we were told like if Paul has to leave, Megan O'Brien will come in and fill in for him. We're like, hell yeah.
Heck yeah. Let's go. She's the one who called Jacoby Myers being good before he was good. That's what's up.
That's true.
Megan, we all know there's no replacing Paul Perillo. And we will miss him, but we want him to feel better.
I mean, someone's got to eat these donuts, right?
I know.
I've been doing my part.
All right.
I'll drive him up to Peabody tomorrow.
I'm not a slacker. I'm doing the work.
I have one.
We're looking at the warm-ups right now, and we already selected our players for the DraftKings contest. By the way, DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. Tonight, during the Patriots-Bills games, you can play for free for a share of over $250,000 in total prizes with your first deposit. Just download the app. Play free on DraftKings, leader in daily fantasy sports. Megan, what do you make? What do you make of our picks? Paulie Paul took Jacoby Myers tonight.
I think that's the pick.
$7,200. You think that's the pick?
That is the pick. But since I can't take him, I would take James White. Did anyone take him?
No. Of course not.
I know he's been a sleeper this season, but
well, it's been a tough year for James White. But really I mean, James White at least can do things without having the ball thrown to him, or he can do things by having the ball thrown to him in the backfield and creating some offense after the catch. Jacoby still needs someone to throw him the ball, and that's why I shy away from picking him.
Well, what if Stidham gets put into the game, Jacoby and Stidham have great chemistry.
More on that coming up. No, it's a whole nother conversation. It's a great question, but we'll do that here. And I don't think he's getting in. Deuce.
There he is.
You ended up with
Sony, and which
Sony
is a good pick because Damian
you do
Harris
say
is
so
out.
yourself.
No, I do say so myself. But yeah, I'd love to see Sony and Ivan Fears giving him some praise about how he's been running. And it was interesting because I felt like they were kind of acknowledging. Did you notice this with Ivan Fears, who's like, Damian looks like a great player and Sony looks good, and he's kind of like, pointing out that Damian was certainly running the ball better than Sony was. But I think Sony has acknowledged getting a little bit of fire lit under his butt with this. And I just want to see him get more than 10 carries. That's it. Can we get him 15? Can we get him 18, somewhere in there? I think it'd be good for the offense. I think it'd be good for Cam Newton. We'll see. They got their full offensive line back, so hopefully. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Isaiah Wynn is still out, but I think they've got some potential with Sony. I'd love to see him get some opportunities.
And I think Paul brought this up in the last post-game show, but they went away from Sony a little bit too early, it seemed, last week. I mean, he was running well, and they went away from running the ball, so maybe they stick more to that. But I don't know. Buffalo's defensive line.
They're good.
Well, I'm sure they heard that criticism of them going away from Sony too early, and they sat around and said, we are really getting our really getting our hats handed to us on the Patriots postgame show.
That Paul Perillo is ripping us right now.
I don't want that. Let's not have a repeat performance of that next week, guys. Get the ball in Sony's hands and keep it there, and avoid that unpleasantness that occurred during the postgame show.
They went for 20 years just listening to Paul Perillo's postgame points. That's what they're like, what did Paul say? All right, that's what we got to do.
I went with Nick Folk. What can I say? You want a guy who's consistently gonna put points on the board for you game in, game out all season long, and you don't have to get in the end zone in order for him to produce. That's your guy, Nick Folk.
He's your fantasy guy, your DraftKings guy?
Yeah.
You chose the kicker.
Yeah, I chose the kicker.
Yeah. Okay.
$3,600. Yeah. Well, let's see how yours pans out.
Let's do
James
it.
White. Let's see how Deuce's panned out.
Oh, it's on. It's on. I want to see you guys.
I just can't believe you picked the kicker.
I kind of baited him into it, to be honest.
Why not? What's wrong with picking a kicker?
Usually everyone waits till the very end, and you're like, oh, I guess I have to take a kicker.
Was that regular fantasy, or what about daily fantasy, though? I think you can take it.
Okay.
Can we consult Matt Morrell? Can I get a ruling on the
when the Patriots score
the
Patriots score 9 points tonight?
Game like this, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the logic. It's just, hey,
I don't.
Weird.
Matt, I'm grateful for the lie. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I like Nick Folk.
Considering the Patriots haven't scored a touchdown in 2 weeks, the pick makes sense.
2 weeks and a quarter.
Can I piggyback?
9 quarters of football since they got in the end zone.
Can I piggyback on that and kind of just raise a question that I'm finding myself wondering? When we heard from Bill early in the week, and he was like, "We're evaluating," and people were like,
Monday, before his radio Monday.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean this generally. I'm not talking specifically Newton Stidham, but he gave the impression that now that they were out of the playoffs, there were some real big picture analysis going on. So, do we think that there's going to be anything noticeably different tonight with, and I'm not saying performance-wise, approach-wise, who's playing? Okay. Maybe not Stidham. Maybe we're not getting in. I'm not even talking about that. We could talk about that.
Let's do that.
But even just otherwise, are there going to be something else?
No.
Same thing.
I don't. Well, first of all, if there's something going on schematically with the defense, I pray that you will bring it up in the postgame because I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you see those packages? No, I didn't. I'm watching the ball. I'm the guy who watches the ball. Where the ball goes, that's how I watch football.
If I see it, I'll show you the package.
I notice those huge substitution packages when 10 guys are coming off the field. That's what I notice. It's got to be significant, and it's got to be happening frequently for me to notice anything going on. So especially if it's defensively, but even offensively, what could they do differently?
J.J. Taylor?
What do you think they're going to do?
Maybe that's an example. That's
J.J. Taylor would be an example.
We saw Justin Herron get a start at left tackle. Maybe he's out there again. Maybe
doesn't
more
count.
of a youth.
Does
not count.
Joanne Williams.
We give him some chances.
Doesn't count.
Yeah.
Not enough. Not enough. You just left tackle. Don't care.
Yeah.
That does not count as a significant personnel tinkering.
I'd like to see
the good
J.J.
one.
Taylor.
I think
Maybe
JJ's the
he's
good
my
one.
fantasy guy. Can I change DraftKings,
No.
JJ?
No, it's too late, sir.
All right, I'm
J.J. Taylor would work. J.J. Taylor would work as a
just something like, hey, there's something new.
Right.
You know, I don't know. That's just what I'm curious is curious. Sorry.
Oh, are
God,
you?
I always catch myself doing
I mean, Gunnar is a receiver. Like,
Maybe.
you know, 6 targets for Gunnar Olszewski tonight.
I mean,
that's
honestly,
significant.
Juwan Williams starting at outside corner and like playing outside corner, that would qualify in my book too.
Let's talk about Jared Stidham. All right? I'm just going to put it to each of you here.
He went to Jared.
He did.
Megan O'Brien.
Jared Stidham.
Megan O'Brien. Does Jared Stidham get in this game tonight, yes or no?
Yes.
Mop up time?
When?
Second half.
Start the second half.
Mid third quarter.
Oh.
That's
So
early.
They come
That's
out,
early-ish.
They're like, we're going to
Mid-third
give you
quarter.
one more possession in the third
That's
quarter.
early-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Pulling the plug on Cam.
All right,
you're out.
Mike Dussault. Does Jared Stidham get in this game tonight?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no also.
Yeah.
Bill put the hammer down on this enough times, and then he tripled downed when he said, how about I'll let you know when he's going to play because I'm not answering this question again. To me, that says at the very least, you've got another 60 minutes of football with Cam Newton as your quarterback. Maybe next week we reevaluated some things and, we're going to look at something. And I know this is, sarcastic comment. I really appreciate you guys being so interested, blah, blah, blah. But Jared's going to get at that point. But tonight, no.
Well,
So
I
just
think what you're
thought
looking at
Bill's-
right here, Cam's team, Cam Huddle.
It's Cam's team.
the
But
whole
I just
thing.
thought
It's still
Bill's
Cam's team.
comments this week were so weird because, Mike, you
Which
brought it
one?
up.
Which
On
one?
Monday, it seemed like the door was open for Stidham and that he was toying with the idea. That was Monday morning. Monday afternoon
Was
on
that
the
Bill
radio.
or was that Josh?
That was
Because
Bill.
it sounded like Josh opened it up a little bit earlier in the week.
Josh said this past weekend on Saturday, he was like, that's Bill's choice.
Yeah.
And that was weird to me, too, because it seemed like he was sort of saying without saying, look, I would start Stidham, too.
Yeah, I mean, I the thing that stood out to me with Josh talking about it was, basically saying, I think I have a real good sense of where Jared is in his development. And, and then he went on this kind of long talk about, which I found interesting, of it's about opportunities, and you can have opportunities in practice, and it's not just about, and I think he directly acknowledged, I can understand people saying, hey, just throw him in the game, and but it's about more than that. So it's hard. You're trying to read between the lines with these guys. One guy's giving you something, the other guy's not giving you anything. But I don't know. Everything they've been telling us, they're riding with Cam. We can talk about why, but I just think that's what they are. I do think that they're getting smoked, and there's just no use in having them out there anymore. Then they'll pull them at the end.
That's reason number one why they're riding with Cam. It's what I came up with a couple of weeks ago. Cam's our quarterback. What? Bill really thinks he's giving them the best chance to win? No, he knows they're not going to win, and Cam has been the quarterback here, and that's the season was over. The season was over in Bill's mind before it was officially mathematically over because Bill's not a fan. Bill's not somebody who's sitting there looking at that 1% chance. This isn't Tom Brady taking the field in the second half after getting the rah-rah speech in the locker room against the Falcons. This is real life now with a real mortal quarterback in Cam Newton. And he looked at this and assessed this a couple of weeks ago and said, Cam's our quarterback because we ain't winning. So that's what we're doing. Now, there is also, and I believe the very real notion that if he were to play Stidham and Stidham plays well, then that brings up a whole line of second guessing. Why wasn't he in there in week 5? When it was obvious to the world that Cam was no longer equipped to handle this job and play the position, why didn't you play Jared Stidham then?
Yeah.
The other weird thing, though, about Josh is when he was asked about Cam being the quarterback, 3 or 4 weeks ago, it seemed like he defended Cam more. This past weekend when he spoke, he said he deferred to Bill.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame Josh. I would do the same thing, but it wasn't consistent. And these guys are always consistent with what they say and what the message is.
Well, they're in new territory here too, Megan. I mean, this is new territory for Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels and the Patriots and some of the guys in that locker room, and they're having to answer questions they haven't had to answer before. They're in a position that they haven't been in 12 years. I mean, this is a big deal when you think about it in terms of how different this is and how they're approaching things, and there isn't a playbook for this right now. All right, Patriots are leaving the field, so we are going to leave just for a moment. We'll come back, take your calls here with Megan, who's in for Paul
Special
Perillo.
guest.
Here? Yeah, she's a special
Colin?
guest. Sure.
Megan's
Why
here.
not? Here on the Patriots pregame social.
How do we inspire people to lead their healthiest lives? How do we bring everyone together so that healthcare finally works for all of us? We know how. We are the how. Optum. How well gets done.
Order ahead on the Dunkin' app to get running on game day. Whether you're a Patriots fan or a Dunkin' fan.
Yes.
DD Perks members get a $1 medium hot or iced coffee when you order from the app on Patriots game day.
My Caleb Sofa and Love Seat. With Bob's discount, you get both pieces for just $7.99.
$7.99? Are you joking?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Yes. You look like you're joking.
I'm serious.
Cool.
Get Bob's discount! Why is this? Why is this it? Okay. Yeah, it should fit. It should fit.
The take it back for something smaller with the CarMax 7-day money-back guarantee way. Whatever your way, that's the way car buying should be.
Wow! You gotta see the stats on that one! I shot at a TD, 14%. Defender distance, decimals. My only out, zero gravity, 6 points. Next gen stats powered by AWS.
In New England, we are resilient. It takes hard work to earn respect. Sometimes it takes decades. And it always takes someone being on your side.
Johnny.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Hey, Morel. Morel, I will choke you out, dude. It's not a problem for me.
Snowblower story time.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
All right, Paul Perillo has jettisoned the program here today. He's under the weather, but what a trooper. In from home.
Nothing stops that man.
I would you have done as much as Paul did tonight?
Yeah. Just because I'm the young guy, and I feel like Paul. I'm like, Paul, just tap out. You've been here forever. Nobody.
Well, I appreciate Paul for hanging in as long as he did, and also appreciate Megan stepping in here to be our guest here for the rest of the pregame social. You going to join us for the postgame, Megan?
I'll be here.
Excellent. Okay. You do know that Fred comes in for the postgame.
Oh yeah, I know.
Does that change your mind?
No, I'll be here.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes he puts a donut on the counter and doesn't have a napkin down.
What do you mean sometimes? He
Some
is
people are very
guaranteed to pick up a donut from that room on his way in and then bring it in here and set it down on the counter.
I think he's still out of breath from when he ran down after they beat the Ravens because he was there quick.
Oh, that was great. Remember that?
I do.
That was fun.
Better times. All right, back to the phones here. We'll go to Robert in Tennessee. Robert, you're on the Patriots pregame social. Hardy, Deuce, MLB. What's up?
How are you doing? I'm a huge fan. I've never called anywhere in my life, so this is the first time for me on that. So,
nice.
Huge fan of the show. Very appreciative of all y'all. I do have a thing to bring up about Jared Stidham, so do kind of hold Megan back a little bit. I think there's a good chance he's the quarterback next year. I'm in the minority on this, but wouldn't it be like Bill Belichick to not care what we think and to allow this young quarterback who's been in the system for 2 years to be equal next year? I know he believes in culture. That's the reason he's probably not changing over to Cam. I know no one likes that idea, but everyone that thinks he's going to trade up multiple picks in the draft really hasn't been watching Bill Belichick draft over the last few years or his lifetime. He really just doesn't trade up or do any of those kind of things. I think it's going to be a possibility of Jared Stidham and some veteran that, like Fitzpatrick coming in. But I know it's not a sexy thing to say, but I think Jared Stidham very possibly will be. And I think he's given them chances. He just hasn't taken advantage of those chances, but he doesn't look like trash.
Well, Robert, don't hedge it. I mean, you say, or bring in a veteran like Ryan Fitzpatrick. No. I think you're right on. And I would say it's not only a possibility, I would put it as a probability that Jared Stidham is the quarterback here next year, if for no other reason, he's here now. I mean, you knew that Tom Brady was leaving, and your backup plan was Jared Stidham. And then late in the game, you got Cam Newton to come in here. That didn't work out. So to me, Robert, just looking at it objectively and looking at it, I guess, just with some common sense, Stidham is the guy again.
He's the only quarterback on the roster.
I just don't see it happening.
But
I think he's a backup. And
Okay.
I think Bill Belichick looks at developing a backup in Stidham, and there's value in that. And I would be surprised if Stidham was the starter next year, because I think if he was, he would be starting right now.
Okay.
And I think it's realistic that they go get a veteran and maybe leave Stidham as the backup. Right now, they're developing him as the backup.
Yeah, and I just think generally he'll have a chance. I think they'll give him a chance to compete. I still think this place is a level playing field when guys get here, and he's the only quarterback under contract right now for this team. So I don't think it's a crazy stretch. And I agree. I think he's shown some positive elements, and it hasn't been consistent, and he's obviously thrown a bunch of interceptions as well. But I don't know. I haven't given up on him, just in terms of like Meg said, being a backup at least, and he's the only guy you got right now, so he'll be here.
All right, let's say the Pats split these last 2 games. All right, finish the season 7-9. Okay, Stidham were to play this year, what do you think their record would have been? It's tough to say because we haven't seen him a whole lot.
Does he get COVID for 2 weeks?
Is it reasonable to think that with Jared Stidham they would have also gone 7-9?
I think that'd be promise for Stidham.
I think I'd probably knock a win or two off.
Which ones?
The Ravens.
Yeah. I think the Chargers were giving you that game no matter what, but the Raiders game maybe. Those. I think you'd probably have a couple less games.
Okay. My point is that if you are trying to draft, not just get a backup anywhere, Robert just brought up Ryan Fitzpatrick. All right. That's no kind of long-term solution.
No.
That's another Band-Aid.
But did you see his pass the other day, Hardy? Can you imagine if he was with Bill?
We'll blindfold him every pass.
Even Matthew Stafford, now that would be a great fix, and I'm all on board with that, but that is max 5 years. Maximum.
Oh, God.
If Stidham can play at all, you put him in next year. Well, all right, you go 7-9 again, maybe after another year.
But what are you
and then
looking for?
You build on that after a couple of years, and you build on it the way Buffalo has been building. You build on it the way Miami is probably going to be building. Now, I'm not comparing him to Josh Allen or to Tua right now, but short of finding that guy or convincing a team to trade you Matthew Stafford or getting Sam Darnold here, you say I think they're going to get a quarterback. Who are they going to get? Not every conversation do I put that on you, Megan, to say, if you're going to fire the defensive coordinator, who are they going to get? I don't know. They got a whole room full of people to figure out who the next defensive. But quarterback? No. I would like to have some options. But if you're going to say it's not going to be Stidham, who's it going to be?
You got 5 years, right, with Stafford. Isn't that good enough? Bill's got probably 5 years left anyways. You build it, make another run, and that's it. What do you think Bill's trying to do?
I would love
Stafford.
For 20 years? Don't think the Lions are going to allow him to leave. I don't think they're going to trade Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. But there's other options.
Okay, what are they?
I know.
I read an article today about Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, God.
And I know a lot of people have been throwing that around, and I don't understand why the 49ers would part ways with him. But
I don't know why you'd want him.
Given his injury history.
Can't stay on the field. I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't want him.
And that's what, you can go down all these guys and you can come up with a thing with them. And that's the only reason why I don't completely rule out a return of Cam Newton, because he's got a thing too. But all these guys have things.
Megan's head's going to explode.
My head will explode too.
It's going to be Stidham.
But I'm just being honest.
You know what it could be next year? Cam Newton could be your starter, and Jared Stidham could be the backup.
Well, what about Dak Prescott? Dak Prescott, he could be. A lot of things would have to happen.
Dak Prescott is an interesting one because the Cowboys are crazy enough to do it.
Crazy like a fox.
Yeah.
They are. And it's like I said before earlier in the show, it's going to take something creative. A quarterback the quarterback of the next 10 years is not going to fall in their lap. And many teams spend the next 10 years looking for that guy, trying this guy. Hey, we stunk last year. We got an 8th overall pick. We drafted, Josh Rosen. He stinks too. It's hard. It's hard. They've got to be creative, and they got to take multiple shots. They can't think, and that's why, if you get them, they're going to pick 13th, and the great quarterbacks are all going to go in the top 10. It's going to get to 13, and everyone's going to say they got to draft this quarterback who probably on their board is a 3rd-round pick, and they're not going to do it, and that's and they probably shouldn't, but it's just I don't know. There's no easy answer to how to do this. I just think the only answer is volume.
What about Carson Wentz? How do we
take
feel
any
about
of
that?
them.
Honestly,
take any of them.
I know this is crazy. a lot of people will think this is a crazy thing to throw out there. What if next year you bring in like Dwayne Haskins? Okay, he got cut. I don't think he can play. I think that he's a little crazy, but why not give him a chance, bring him in for training camp? Cam Newton's back for training camp, and then let's say a veteran, a Matthew Stafford, a Jimmy Garoppolo, a Dak Prescott, roll the ball out and say, hey, fight for it.
Yeah. And
it's creative. That's depth.
And I think your fight for it is what they do, and I think that's what they do very well, almost to the point where you're like, what are we going to do with all these running backs? But I think they love fostering that competition. And one thing I do really believe about Bill Belichick is that it's a level playing field when you get here. I don't think there are a ton of preconceived notions. I think guys will have a chance, and I definitely think that guys tend to, they give the job to the guy who wins it and not the guy who makes the most money or the guy who has the most status.
And Sam Darnold, I know we talked about in the show, Paul said that he doesn't think the Jets would ever do it, but they are the Jets. What if they did? I think Darnold can still play.
Take a shot.
Yeah, I don't think, but I'm with Paul. I don't think the Jets are going to do it, not to the Patriots. They might be willing to part ways with Darnold, but not to the Pats.
We're not giving you the one thing you need more than anything.
Yeah. Well, seriously, what are we doing here? What? Kevin in South Carolina. What's up, Kevin? You have a question for Megan?
Oh.
Well, I do, because, first of all, Dream Team, I appreciate you both. Howdy, Deuce. You guys are a lot of fun. Missed Paul this week. But Megan O'Brien, I am a fan. To hear you on this broadcast, tremendously happy to see you on the broadcast.
Wow. Thank you. You're making my day here, Kevin.
That's inappropriate, Matt.
She's a girl. I'm not Bugs Bunny. Come on. But to be fair, Megan has mentioned 3 solid quarterbacks. We talked about Jimmy GQ, Dak, Carson Wentz, and for a fourth stager, Sam. Megan O'Brien brings it all the time. Megan, I thank you. But I have a question.
Yo, Mo B, man.
Let's hear it.
I want to know if these New England Patriots, under my hero, Bill Belichick, who traded Logan Mankins, who traded people like Richard Seymour, would trade the Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore. And if so, would someone crazy like Jerry Jones, who perhaps had his greatest signing, Deion Sanders, would he be crazy enough to trade for someone like you've already mentioned, Dak?
Well, we talked about it as a possibility, and thanks for the call, Kevin. We talked about it as a possibility for the Lions and Stafford. So why wouldn't that work for the Cowboys and Dak Prescott?
Yeah, and it was the same thing, and then they've got to go find a young quarterback, and they're kind of in the same position the Patriots are in with, like, great, we got, we don't know where our offense is going, but we got a great cornerback. It's going to be complicated this offseason with Gilmore. It seemed like it was complicated on the, DL last year, where it was like, where's Gilmore? He's not here today. There was never really a big stink made about it. There was never, but it got figured out. I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't think he wants to play on in the last year of his deal. He's going to want an extension. I saw Jeff Howe this morning, and he thought that that the Patriots could figure out an extension with him. I'd be surprised. I think he needs so much more, and I think that having that really great shutdown corner, while it is a key part of a team, I think it's a key part of a team that's knocking on the door, and it's not, the first piece you think to go get when you're trying to get back to the top when you're at the bottom is we got to go get a shutdown corner. Philosophically, I think it starts up front with the defense, and then you add those corners in later, but they've had no problem really finding corners ever since, mid-2015, around there. They always were able to bring guys in and cycle people in and out and still get good performances. I don't want to minimize how good Gilmore has been or how good Revis was that year that he was with us with Browner, and they've had plenty of good players over the years that have really been huge keys to the championships. But I just think they need so more. It's like what good is it if you can't stop the run and you got Stephon Gilmore back there shutting down a receiver? It doesn't matter. So
and Gilmore's fantastic. He's played terrific. He's been a terrific Patriot. I mean, you feel bad for the guy. He has a season-ending quad injury. But I think to your point, Mike, they have that young guy right now that they want to develop in Miles Bryant. He was really good in training camp. He's made some plays when he's had opportunities. And I think he's a guy that they see as part of the future in building. I mean, I don't know that, but he had an impressive camp.
It's just another one, I mean, and I don't know how exactly he fits in. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be like a man press corner outside, because he's, kind of playing that safety role like we see Jonathan Jones do a little bit, where it's like he looks like a slot guy, but he's just kind of, using his speed in the middle of the field. So I don't know what his developed, but it's just another guy that they always seem to find, a cornerback pops up, it seems, in every class. They're like, hey, look at this guy's awesome. I mean, look at Kenny Moore in the Colts. I'm watching him play, and it's like, There's another one that they had that they were like, we just got too many great corners. Sorry, Kenny. So I maybe I'm just been lulled into a false sense of security about the cornerback position, and I just feel like we got J.C. Jackson, hey, undrafted guy. They just seem to grow on trees, but I don't know. I think that is a position that's a luxury down the line more, and if they can get stuff, if they can cash chips in right now, I think they should.
All right, let's go to Melvin in Tennessee. Melvin, what's up, buddy? Thanks for calling into the pregame. Once again, always good to hear from you. What do you got?
What's up? Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, Melvin.
Hey, first of all, I have to give a shout-out to the guy who just called in from Tennessee. I love my Tennessee people and the y'all talk. I don't think we notice we say it so much, but we do. Second off, Hardy, I've been calling this show for a while, and I don't think I've told you how much I appreciate you being on these shows. You are a great host with all that you do, so I really appreciate it. Like everybody else says, you're awesome. So.
Oh, I appreciate that, Melvin. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, now on to football talk.
Yep.
I think that was last week when Cam said something to the fact that guys just don't get it, something to that. I would have loved for that question to be followed up. Well, do you get it? Do you feel like you understand it? And where do you feel like, I know that's got to be like hard for him to, all this stuff before the season and the videos and the dog talk and all that kind of stuff, and to have this type of season following that, and I know this was going to be a struggle for anybody. I don't know too many quarterbacks how to think about it. It's tough to go to a new system and be productive, especially with this weird year and all the stuff that you were going to have. So I just wondered, where did he feel like he developed within this first year? Does he feel like he understands? Because to me, when he said guys, it feels like he was excluding himself. I could be reading too much into it, but to me, when he said guys, I don't know who guys are. Are you included in guys or not? So I just want to see where he felt like as far as the development of the team, and, does he truly want to even be here next year? He's talking about the pressures of being a Patriot. Do you want to be here?
There's the question, Melvin. There's the question, and thank you for the kind words once again. I think that's probably secondary. Obviously, it's second to whether or not the Patriots want Cam Newton here next year. But if he were to be guaranteed the starting position once again next year, right? And you told him all things are going to be the same, right?
Seriously?
You're going to have the same cast of characters. That we might get you a tight end, or but essentially you're going to have. But this time you're going to have more of a preseason to work things out. We're going to be through the COVID, but you're going to do it again. Would Cam want to do this again?
Yes.
I think Cam would be lucky to have a job in the NFL next year as a starting quarterback.
Would he want that? But knowing that the results would most likely be the same.
Yep.
Also,
does he want this?
Yeah, I think he does.
Does he look like he's enjoying this?
Yeah,
I think so.
No, but I think he thinks he could. I think with a little more time and,
He's still learning. He tells us every week. He's still learning the playbook. And to answer Melvin's question, actually on the radio the next day, he followed up and said that he is one of those guys that doesn't completely get it, and then went on to tell us how he's still learning things. And I know it's difficult, especially given the circumstances this season, but it's just it's not good enough.
All right, we got to do our Snickers bar 1-pack here. We're not going to play the song. This is the Monday 1-pack, so better kick back. Reason to get your don't get it mixed, Jack.
Perfect. Pretty good.
Thanks. I got flow, if nothing else.
Never had one lesson.
Tremendous flow. All right, we already got Paul's pick earlier on before he left us.
What was that? 37?
Paul has picked
34-16.
Yeah. First, let's season breakdown quickly. What we did last week and what's the season at, Matt?
Last week, Mike and Paul went 5-1. Hardy went 3-3. On the season, Mike 40-27. Paul 44-23. Hardy 30-37.
Yikes!
Mike, you're a fraud. In our regular show, you're the worst.
I don't get it either.
In this, you're winning.
I don't understand.
How?
I have no idea.
So tonight we have the Buffalo Bills are 7-point favorites at Gillette Stadium.
Yep.
Paul has picked the Bills to win this game 34-16.
Yeah.
Deuce, who you got?
Yeah, I got the Bills winning 27-13. I wouldn't totally rule out a Josh Allen kind of weird game where he kind of has some mistakes. I think that's what it would take for the Patriots. But I just over the last couple of weeks they haven't given me much to believe in. So I got the Bills winning 27-13.
I have the Pats winning this game tonight 2017. How do you feel about that?
I think you're a little crazy.
What?
I'm picking the Pats 2017 tonight. Megan, who you got?
I think the Bills are going to win. It's going to be 33-13.
33-13. Okay. All right. There's a win for Hardy this week. Nice. All right. I'm going to be undefeated in the picks this week because there's only one game. All I need is for them to cover. I mean, my score doesn't have to come true. Give me the Pats +7, okay? That's what I'm officially down as, Pats +7. Thank you very much. For everybody on the Patriots pregame social, Fueled by Duncan, we thank you for listening and watching. We'll talk to you in the postgame.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.